The sky was dark over the Atlantic Ocean. There were no stars, no sound, no lights. But something was coming. A ship, invisible to human eyes, moved through the clouds. It was silent, smooth, and fast. No radar on Earth could see it. No satellite could catch it. It wasn't made by humans. Inside the ship, a woman stood in front of a mirror. She had silver skin, long white hair, and eyes that glowed like fire. Her name was Neria. She was not human. She was a Zoranth, a highly advanced alien agent trained for one thing only: infiltration. Her mission was simple: go to Earth, seduce the leader of the humans, gain his trust, and prepare Earth for invasion. A voice came through the speaker inside the ship. Agent Neria, your time has come. The Earth leader must fall. Use charm. Use lies, do whatever is needed. You are our weapon. Neria nodded, her face calm. Her kind believed humans were weak, too soft, too emotional, too broken to be a threat. But she had studied them. She had watched their videos, read their files, listened to their songs. Still, she felt nothing. No fear, no curiosity, no doubt. The ship landed quietly in a forest near Washington, D.C. She stepped out, her body now changed, skin soft, hair dark, face beautiful by human standards. She wore a black suit, held a fake ID, and walked toward her new life. In just 3 days, Neria had a new name: Dr. Liana Morn, a political expert, trained in diplomacy and foreign relations. Every record was fake, but perfect. She entered the White House as a new advisor. Nobody questioned her, not even him, President Aiden Cross. He was not like she expected, not weak, not foolish. He was calm, kind, intelligent, and yet very careful. His eyes held something she didn't understand: awareness. The first time he looked at her, her scanner stopped working. Her heartbeat increased. She felt something strange, something new. Neria? The voice whispered in her ear from space. What's wrong? Send us a scan of the target. But her scan had failed. She told them the system had a bug. It was a lie that evening. She sat across from Aiden in a quiet office. The windows showed the lights of the city. Aiden looked tired but focused. He had a warm smile and spoke with honesty. So Dr. Morn, he said, what do you think of Earth so far? It's different than I imagined, she said. Good, different, or bad? He asked. I'm not sure yet, she replied, almost smiling. He laughed. You'll figure it out. Then he paused and added softly, you have sharp eyes, like you've seen things others haven't. She froze for a moment. Maybe. I have, she said quietly. As she left the room that night, her hands were shaking. It made no sense. Zoranth agents don't get nervous. They don't feel. But she did. She sat alone in her room, looking out at the sky. Why did her scanners fail near him? Why did she feel like he knew something? Why did his words stay in her mind? She reached for the communicator. Mission progress, close to target. She said, trust being built, preparing for next phase. But she didn't mention the failed scan. She didn't mention the strange feeling inside her. She didn't mention the voice in her mind that whispered, he's not what they think he is. For the first time in her life, Neria felt unsure and far above, in a ship watching from the edge of the moon. The Zoranth High Command waited. They thought the plan was working perfectly. They didn't know that their best agent was starting to change. Asterisk. It began with a dream. Neria had never dreamed before. Her kind didn't sleep like humans. They powered down. No thoughts, no images, just silence. But now she dreamed of water. Deep oceans, warm skies, soft voices, and in the dream, a man stood by her side. His eyes were like Aiden's. His voice said only one word. Why? She woke up shaking, her body too hot, her mind spinning. Something was changing. Inside her and around her. The next morning, she stood at the window of her apartment. The city below was alive, full of noise, color, and motion. So much emotion. Everywhere so much chaos, but also something else, hope. She dressed in black again, her uniform, her mask, but when she looked in the mirror, her eyes didn't glow like before. They looked more human now. Was it the disguise? Or something deeper? She walked into the White House with her usual calm. Security waved her through. They trusted her now, even though she was the danger. Her role was clear, but her heart was not. She found President Aiden in the war room. Maps, screens, and voices filled the space. There were whispers of global threats. Energy spikes in the sky. Satellites failing. Earth was under pressure. But from what? He noticed her immediately. "Dr. Morn," he said, "you're just in time." He motioned her to come closer. She stood beside him, too close she could smell the coffee in his cup, hear the soft beat of his heart. For a moment, she forgot. She was here to betray him. "We've been picking up strange signals," he said, pointing to a screen. "They're not natural, not from Earth." She kept her face calm, but inside she panicked. Those were Zoranth signals, messages from her people. "Do you recognize this pattern?" he asked, looking directly at her. Her lips almost said yes, but she lied. "No, but I'll study it." He didn't push instead. He just nodded. "Good." Later that day, Aiden asked her to join him for a walk. No guards, no cameras, just the two of them in the White House garden. She said yes, though she didn't know why. The garden was full of flowers, something her homeworld had never known. Zoranth grew only metal, machines, and logic, but here, things grew without control. Wild, messy, beautiful. "Why did you really come to Earth?" he asked her suddenly. The question hit her like a sharp wind. She looked at him, searching for a clue. Was this a trap? "I came for opportunity," she said slowly. He smiled. "Everyone says that. But your eyes, they say something else." She didn't answer. He didn't press. They walked in silence for a while, birds flying overhead, the sun touching their faces. "You know," he said finally, "I've always believed we weren't alone." Neria's heart stopped. "But," he continued, "I never thought they would send someone like you." She turned to face him fully now. "What do you mean?" "You're not like the others here," he said. "You notice things. You hide things, but you also care." That word again. Care. Something Zoranth agents were trained to avoid. That night, she reported to her ship, close to the target. She said, "Emotional bond beginning. Phase 2 ready." But after she ended the call, she sat in the dark. She touched her chest. Why was her heartbeat different now? Why did her hands tremble after being near him? She turned on the scanner. Again, tried to scan Aiden's file, his face, his voice. But again, it failed. Error, error. Was it him? Or her? Was Earth doing something to her mind? Or was it Aiden doing something to her heart? And far above, in the cold silence of space, the Zoranth Council watched her reports closely. But they didn't know her thoughts. They didn't see the flower she had picked from the garden, now resting gently in her hand. It started with a voice that didn't belong, not a human voice, not a Zoranth signal. It spoke inside Neria's head at exactly 3:07 a.m. "You're not the only one hiding something." She sat up in bed, breathing hard, eyes glowing faintly. In the dark, the room was silent, but the voice had been real. She was sure of it. Was she being watched? Was it a warning or something else? She activated her security scan. The apartment showed no threat, no hidden devices. Still, something felt wrong. Something was changing around her, not just inside her. In the morning, Neria dressed quickly and walked into the White House with a mission of her own. She had to know more about him, President Aiden Cross, leader of Earth's strongest nation, target of her mission, and the one person who made her feel alive. She entered the underground archive room, a place few people could access. But her fake clearance got her through. Inside were files too old for digital systems, printed, hidden, untouched. She searched for his early history birthplace. New York, parents. Deceased in a fire when he was 10, raised in foster care, military at 17. Then, a blank. 4 full years missing from his record. No school, no base, no location, just a gap. She leaned closer, eyes narrowing. Even the Zoranth database had no information on those 4 years. That wasn't possible. she heard a sound behind her. She turned quickly, and there he was, Aiden. Calm, composed, watching her. He didn't look angry, only curious. Looking into my past? He asked softly. Neria felt her heart skip a beat. I was curious, she said carefully. He stepped closer. I don't blame you, he said. You're not the first. But you might be the first who actually finds something. Neria was silent. He wasn't surprised. He knew. How long have you known? She asked quietly. Aiden gave a small smile. Since the first day. The glitch in the room. Your movements, the way you breathe only when you remember. She stepped back, shocked. And you didn't report me? No, he said simply. Because I don't think you're here to hurt us. Not anymore. She stared at him. No lies, no fear in his voice. Only trust. But why? She whispered. Because I've seen your eyes, he said. And they're not the eyes of a weapon anymore. She turned away. I was sent here to prepare for your fall. She confessed. I was built for it. Then maybe, he said. It's time to choose who you want to be. The room was quiet for a long time. Then he walked past her, picked up a file, and placed it on the table. Read this, he said. It's about Project Solstice. It might explain the missing 4 years, she opened the file with. Shaking hands, inside were documents about alien signals, experiments, and contact attempts made secretly by Earth's old governments. And in the center, Aiden's name. He had been part of it. A survivor of something Earth never admitted. Ah. You human? She asked. He smiled again. Mostly, he said. Enough to care. But maybe just different enough to understand you. That night, Neria didn't send a report. She looked at the stars, and for the first time, she wondered if the enemy wasn't Earth. Maybe the real danger was what she had been trained to believe. Maybe the real lie was inside her. A message came through her earpiece. Status update, the alien voice said. Begin next phase. She stared at the communicator. Her hand hovered above the button. Then she turned it off, far away. In the black silence of deep space, the Zoranth war fleet began to move. They thought Earth was weak. They thought Neria was still theirs. They were wrong. Because she had seen something no training could prepare her for. A human who could see her. Not as a tool, but as a person. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. Neria's hands were shaking. She stared at the blood on her fingertips. It shimmered silver, not red. Not human. She had hidden it all day, wiped it clean, smiled. Like nothing was wrong, but inside, her body felt like it was breaking. Every heartbeat was louder, every breath harder to control. She wasn't sick. She was changing. She locked herself in her apartment and ran a deep scan. The screen blinked, loaded, then flashed a word she had never expected. Life detected. She froze. Her mind couldn't believe it. She scanned again, then a third time. The results were the same. There was a new life inside her, a child. No, she whispered. It's not possible. Zoranth agents weren't supposed to be able to reproduce with humans. It had never happened in the history of her kind. Her body was designed for missions, not motherhood. She sat on the floor, her eyes wide, her fingers clutching the edge of the desk. How? She whispered again. She remembered the moments, the closeness, the way Aiden looked at her, not like a tool, not like an enemy, but like someone real. Zoranth reproduction only happened through emotional connection, not physical alone. It required something else, trust, vulnerability, emotion, and she had let those things in, bit by bit, without noticing, until now. Her communicator blinked. A voice from her people crackled through. Agent Neria, we sense disruption in your signal. Are you compromised? She stared at it without answering. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. She turned off the device without replying. What would they do if they found out? Kill her? Capture the child? Use it? She didn't know, and that made the fear even worse later. That night, she met Aiden in the garden again. She didn't speak at first. He noticed something in her face, something tired and lost. You look different, he said gently. I feel different. She replied. He waited, not pushing her, just listening, and for the first time, she told him the truth. Not all, but enough. I've changed, she said. Something inside me is growing. He looked at her, surprised but not afraid. You mean? He asked, eyes wide. She nodded slowly. I don't understand it, she said. It shouldn't be possible. Aiden stepped closer. And how do you feel? Terrified, she said. And angry? At me? No, she said quickly. At myself, for not stopping it. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said softly, maybe it didn't need to be stopped. They sat on a bench in silence. Around them, flowers swayed gently in the night wind. A strange peace surrounded them. But Neria knew it wouldn't last. Her people would notice soon. Her body would give her away. And Earth was already on the edge of war. She touched her stomach. Still flat. Still hidden. But something was there. Something more powerful than any weapon she had known. A life back in her room. She began writing. Not a report, not a lie. A message to the child. If you ever hear this, she whispered to the recorder, I want you to know. I didn't mean for this to happen. But you're here now. And I don't know if the stars will ever be safe for you. But I will protect you. Her voice cracked as she said the words. She was trained to break planets, not protect. Life. But here she was. Speaking like a mother. Feeling like a human. She hid the recording deep inside a secure vault. Then she prepared herself, because she knew the next phase was coming fast. Her people would send the fleet. They believed she had succeeded. They were ready to invade. But Neria wasn't ready to destroy anymore. Not Earth, not Aiden, and definitely not the child growing inside her. In the mirror, her reflection looked different now. Her skin was softer, her eyes less sharp. She was still Zoranth, but she was also something else. Something new, something dangerous, something deeply human. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the sky broke, not with thunder, not with lightning, but with silence. A crack opened above Earth. Too thin to see, too quiet to hear, but it was there. A tear in the atmosphere, a wound in the sky. And through it came the first Zoranth ship. Then the second, then hundreds more. They were invisible to human satellites. But Neria saw them clearly in her mind. She had felt them coming hours before the first ship crossed Earth's orbit. She stood alone in the garden. The wind was still. The stars hidden behind dark clouds. Her eyes were glowing again, brighter than ever. Her body responding to the presence of her people. They were here. They thought she had succeeded. That Earth was ready to fall. They didn't know what had changed. They didn't know she had changed. Behind her, the door opened. It was Aiden. He looked tired but calm. She turned to face him, and without a word, he said, They're here, aren't they? She nodded. He didn't ask how she knew. He trusted her now, even though he shouldn't. You need to tell me everything, he said. She looked down, then back at him. I lied, she whispered. I was sent to prepare your destruction. No, he replied. I've known for some time. Her eyes widened. Then why haven't you stopped me? Because, he said, you're the only one who can stop them. In the control room beneath the White House, alarms began to flash. Military satellites were picking up static. Radars were spinning wildly. Something was disturbing Earth's magnetic field. Shields are failing over Europe, one agent shouted. Communication with Moon Station Omega is gone, another said. Earth had never faced a true alien threat. Until now, in the chaos, Aiden walked beside Neria without fear. We need your mind, he said. Your knowledge of them. She hesitated. Helping Earth meant betraying everything she was built for. But she thought of the child growing inside her, and suddenly, there was no doubt, I'll need access to your global defense grid, she said. And trust. You have both. Aiden replied without hesitation. They entered the command chamber. Neria stood before the Global Council through a live hologram. Some yelled, some panicked, some called her a traitor. But Aiden raised his voice. She's not the threat anymore, he said. She's our chance. Neria took control of the interface, her fingers moving fast across the screen. Zoranth ships don't use fuel, she explained. They travel through folded space, controlled by a central beacon. Destroy the beacon, and the fleet collapses, Aiden said. Understanding fast, she nodded. But the beacon is hidden. I need time to trace it. Outside, in the sky above, the first Zoranth light struck Earth. It wasn't a weapon. It was a message. A giant beam of pure code, written in their ancient tongue. Deliver the leader, or be erased, the Earth. Council looked at Aiden. Neria stepped between him and the screen. No, she said firmly. They'll never stop with one man. Alarms grew louder. The countdown had begun. Invasion wasn't a plan anymore. It was a reality. Neria closed her eyes and linked her mind to the alien signal. Her pulse rose, her vision blurred, but she found it, hidden deep above the Atlantic Trench. The beacon, I have it, she said, but I'll need to go there myself. That's suicide, Aiden said. You'll be marked as a traitor. I already am, she replied. But if I don't do this, your world ends. He looked at her, his eyes full of something she couldn't describe. Not fear, not anger, something stronger. I'll send a stealth jet. He said, you won't go alone. But she shook her head. This is something I must do alone, Aiden. Step closer, then promise me one thing. What? She asked. Come back. She didn't answer. She couldn't. Minutes later she was gone, vanishing into the night, racing toward the ocean, toward her people, toward betrayal, toward war, and above Earth. The fleet waited like a silent storm. They still believed Neria served them. They were wrong. She was falling, not through the sky, but through her past. Through every lie she ever told, every command she followed, every mission she completed without blinking. And now, here she was, drifting in a stealth pod above the Atlantic Trench, alone, cold, and no longer sure who she really was. Neria placed her hand on her stomach. The heartbeat inside her was stronger now. It was no longer just a child. It was a part of both worlds, the perfect mix of Zoranth and human, and the reason she couldn't let Earth fall. Below her, hidden deep in the ocean, was the Zoranth beacon, a giant organic machine pulsing in the dark. It connected the fleet, powered the invasion, and it could only be shut down from within. She knew what that meant. It wouldn't let her leave. She opened the hatch and dove into the water. Her alien body adapted quickly, no oxygen needed. As she swam deeper, her vision adjusted. There it was. The beacon, it looked alive, glowing veins, black spines, and a soft hum that echoed in her bones. She reached it, touched its surface. The machine responded, opening a small path inside. It recognized her. Still thought she was loyal. It didn't know she had already chosen Earth. Inside the beacon, memories filled her mind. Images of Zoranth history, their pride, their control, their hatred of chaos, of emotion, of freedom. But she had seen something else on Earth, something beautiful, flawed, but full of heart. She reached the core, and the voice of the Zoranth High Command filled her head. Agent Neria, it said. Report success. She stood still, then whispered, I'm not your agent anymore. They responded with rage. Traitor, corrupted. Prepare for elimination. The beacon began to shift. Walls closing in. Energy rising. It was trying to kill her. She pulled the device from her suit. A pulse bomb built to disrupt Zoranth tech. She had only one chance. She set the timer, placed it against the core. But her body trembled, not from fear, from pain. Something was happening. Now she clutched her stomach. The child was coming, not later. Now she fell to her knees inside the living machine, screaming, alone, in the heart of enemy power. Outside, the Zoranth fleet detected the explosion warning. The ships began to scatter, unsure, leaderless, confused, and far away, in the White House, alarms went silent. Aiden stood before a screen, watching the ocean. Is she? He asked. No one answered. They didn't know. But inside the beacon, light exploded. The pulse bomb activated, sending waves of blue fire through every circuit. The machine screamed, and then it died. The fleet above Earth flickered, some ships vanished, others dropped from orbit like broken birds. The invasion had failed because of one choice, one woman. A rescue pod was sent into the ocean. 2 hours later, they found her, barely alive, but not alone. Wrapped in a thermal blanket, her arms held the impossible, a child, small, glowing. Softly, not crying, just watching the world with bright, intelligent eyes, half human, half Zoranth. The first of its kind, she opened her eyes as Aiden leaned over her. "You made it," he whispered. She smiled weakly. "I couldn't let them." "Take this world." He looked at the child. "What is he?" Neria looked down at her son. "Hope," she said, "for both our kinds." But her body was weak, damaged by the beacon. She knew she might not survive. Still, she felt peace, because she had given something no machine could ever understand. A future. As medics rushed in, she whispered to Aiden, "If I don't make it, protect him." "You have my word," he said, holding her hand. "And if you do make it?" She smiled again, eyes closing slowly. "Then I'll help him build a new world." It was quiet. For the first time in weeks, the skies were clear. No alien ships, no sirens, no fear. Just wind, clouds, and the sound of birds returning. Earth had survived, not because of weapons, not because of power, but because of one choice. A single betrayal that became a gift. They buried the beacon deep under the ocean floor. Crushed and sealed forever, the Zoranth fleet had gone dark. Some vanished. Others drifted silently through space with no orders to follow. The invasion had ended not in fire, but in silence. In a hospital hidden far from cameras and politics. A baby slept quietly, wrapped in a soft blue blanket. His skin was warm like a human, but under sunlight, it shimmered slightly. Zoranth blood still lived inside him. Aiden stood by the window, watching. The world was changing outside, slowly. But clearly, nations were talking, not fighting. People were asking questions about the stars, about truth, about peace. And in the center of it all was this child, unnamed, unknown to most, but powerful beyond understanding. Behind him, a voice spoke. "She lived." Aiden turned around. The nurse nodded, smiling. "She's weak, but awake." He walked through the white hallway, heart racing. When he entered the room, Neria was sitting up slowly, her face pale, her eyes tired. But she was alive for a moment. They said nothing. Then she whispered, "Did he survive?" Aiden smiled. "He's waiting to meet you." Tears filled her eyes. Zoranth didn't cry. But she wasn't just Zoranth anymore. He helped her stand. Her steps were weak but steady. And when she held her son for the first time, the room felt brighter. He looked at her, calm and quiet. And for the first time in her life, Neria felt whole. She turned to Aiden. "I don't know what to call him," he smiled. "Then call him what he is, the first of a new kind." Later that week, the Earth Council met in secret. They argued over what to do. Hide the child, study him, protect him, fear him. Some wanted to use him. Others wanted him gone. Aiden stood before them and spoke just one sentence. "He is not a weapon. He is a bridge." The room fell silent, and so the child was given no title, no label, just a place to grow. Far from politics, watched but not caged, loved, not used, Neria chose not to return to the stars. Her people would not accept her, but Earth had changed her, and maybe she could help change Earth too. She began working in the shadows, helping rebuild, helping design new systems that protected the planet without violence. She never sought power, only peace. The child grew fast. By age 5, he could speak 5 languages. By age 7, he could see energy fields and fix machines without touching them. But he also laughed at simple things. Birds, bubbles, cartoons. He was still a child, but one with the power to change worlds. And on his 10th birthday, he stood before a small crowd, scientists, leaders, and friends. And he said, "I was born from 2 enemies, but I do not carry war in my hands. I carry a future that neither side imagined." They listened because when he spoke, it felt like hope itself was speaking. Nerea watched from a distance, proud, quiet, and full of a feeling she had once been trained to reject love. Aiden stood beside her, older now. "You changed Earth," he said. "No," she replied. "He did, but you gave us the chance." He said, "You gave us something we never expected, a reason to be better." They looked up at the stars. The night was calm. Peace was never certain, but it was possible, and sometimes all it took was one mistake, one choice, one child, to begin something entirely new.